Thanks everyone for coming to tonight's show. This is Julia Anderson with Real Talk. For Black History Month, we are going to give little-known historical facts about, well, Black history. Sitting in our chair tonight is Dr. Brianna Jackson. Welcome to our show, Dr. Jackson.
Thank you for having me here.
Tell us a little about yourself.
I have a PhD in African Studies with an emphasis on world history.
And who are you going to talk about today?
I am going to present to you Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall.
Please continue.
Thurgood Marshall was born on July 2, 1908 to William Marshall, a railroad porter, and Norma Williams Marshall, an elementary school teacher. It was his father who instilled in him an appreciation for the Constitution and the rule of law. After graduating from the University of Pennsylvania, Marshall applied to the University of Maryland School of Law and was denied because of their segregation policy. This school would not see the last of Thurgood Marshall.
What do you mean, Dr. Jackson?
I'll get to that in a moment. After being turned down by the Maryland School of Law, Thurgood applied and was accepted to the Howard University School of Law. His mentor Charles Hamilton Houston encouraged all of the students to view the law as a means for social change. After graduating summa cum laude, Marshall opened up his own law office in Maryland. One of his first legal victories was in the case of Murray v. Pearson, in which a black student sued the Maryland School of Law because of its segregation policy.
Awesome. That's turning a negative into a positive, all right.
In 1936, Thurgood began working with the NAACP and argued his first case in front of the Supreme Court. In Chambers v. Florida, Marshall argued that police pressure resulting in a defendant's confession violates due process.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Many of Thurgood Marshall's cases argued before the Supreme Court had to do with either civil rights or criminal defendants' rights. Of the 32 cases Marshall argued in front of the Supreme Court, he won 29 of them.
That really is impressive.
But it was his victory in Brown v. the Board of Education, in 1954, that effectively negated Plessy v. Ferguson.
And what was Plessy v. Ferguson?
Plessy v. Ferguson, decided in 1896, said that racial segregation in private business was constitutional and that the doctrine of separate but equal was fair. It originally pertained to railroads but was then extended to all facets of life: education, medicine, and transportation, among other things.
And what was Brown v. the Board of Education?
Brown v. the Board of Education said that separate schools for black and white students was unconstitutional. And just like the far-reaching effects of Plessy, Brown had the exact same effect.
Gotcha. Plessy separate but equal was cool. Brown said no, it isn't.
John F. Kennedy appointed Thurgood to the United States Court of Appeals, and Lyndon B. Johnson appointed Marshall to the position of Solicitor General. Marshall was the first African American to hold this position. On June 13, 1967, Johnson appointed Marshall to the United States Supreme Court. Marshall was the first African American on the bench. He served on the bench for over 24 years, continuing his belief in civil rights and the rights of criminal suspects against the government. Thurgood retired in 1991. In a related point, one of Marshall's law clerks was recently appointed Supreme Court Justice Elena Kagan.
Wow, that's cool.
Marshall died on January 24, 1993 at the age of 84. His argument in Brown v. the Board of Education is still studied in law schools 57 years later.
Looks like he did use the law as a means of social change. Maybe the lesbian and gay community might want to adopt the same tactic. Thank you, Dr. Jackson, for this revealing presentation.
Thank you for having me here today.
I want to thank you all for coming to the show. This is Julia Anderson with Real Talk. Bye-bye.